Hey everybody, this is Craig. Today we're going to take a look at the Disney 100 collection recently added to Disney Plus. This is a collection of some of the bigger Disney titles over the last 100 years and what Disney considers important. So let's take a look at that. So right here we have the splash page for the Disney 100 collection. And first you see recently added across the bottom of the screen there. But this section is really organized by decades. So if I scroll down here, we'll go down to the 1920s to the 1930s. I'm going to go through these titles just real quick, but I'm going to point out a couple things that are important, interesting, and maybe even obscure. So stick around. So first, we go to the 1920s and the 1930s, and we see Snow White, Steamboat Willie, Skeleton Dance, Three Little Pigs. The titles in these rows are not in the order that they were released, but I think it's a casual order of importance according to Disney. But if I scroll through here, you'll see a lot of cartoons. Primarily, that's what Disney was doing in the 1920s and the 30s. So you really won't see, I don't think there's any live action here in the 1920s and the 1930s. But there are a couple things I'd like to point out. Disney has been remastering some of their very oldest cartoons and releasing them just within the last month. And one of those titles is Mickey's Steamroller here. And when we take a look at the splash page for Mickey's Steamroller, you can kind of tell it's very crisp and clear. This cartoon is worth looking at and watching if for no other reason than to see where the level of technology is today in remastering some of these old prints because it's phenomenal. It's crystal clear. It's kind of amazing. The humor is 1930s humor. I wouldn't necessarily call it outdated, but it's different. For example, the steamroller has a face. So let's go back to our list here. We'll finish this out, but you're really just going to see more comics. Barnyard Olympics is another one that has been remastered. So let's go up to our next row, the 1940s here, and I'll leave it sort of middle of the screen there. Again, the bigger Disney animated titles lead this section off: Pinocchio, Bambi, Fantasia. Fun and fancy-free, a little bit obscure. If you've not seen it, it's worth watching. It's interesting. It's very musically based. So as I scroll through here, what you're going to see is just really a lot of the cartoon shorts. But at the very end, you saw Miracle from 34th Street there. That was an acquisition from Fox. But at the very end, you do see a movie, a live action movie, that does have some historical importance. This Swiss Family Robinson is from 1940. And as the story goes, Disney did not want anything competing with his big budget Swiss Family Robinson. And he didn't want anybody to be able to run this Swiss Family Robinson on TV, so he bought the rights from RKO and basically shelved it. Made sure nobody could release it in theaters, nobody could put it on TV. He wanted to keep this away from the public so they wouldn't confuse it with his. So a little bit of Disney history there. Pretty cool. Going back to our list here, we're going to go up to the 1950s again, leading off with the big, well-known animated films. And as I scroll through here, you see the Mickey Mouse Club. And what you really have with the Mickey Mouse Club is just 5 episodes. But still, if you're into Disney history, you can watch these 5 episodes. So going back to our list from the 1950s, we'll go forward here. You'll see a couple of the live action movies because Disney started making live action movies in the 1950s. But you also see the TV series Zorro. Zorro was Disney's first attempt at a TV series with a set cast of characters and a continuing storyline. He had been producing his anthology series Disneyland for a few years, and also the Mickey Mouse Club, but this was the first big TV series. And they have the first and the second season up there on Disney Plus. I don't think they have the 4 episodes that kind of wrapped up the series that ran later on Disneyland. But they do have A lot of episodes, 70 some episodes. So that's worth checking out. Going back to our list here, we see more cartoons, of course, but then we see the true life adventures. And the true life adventures are an important part of Disney history. As the story goes, Walt Disney came up with this idea for these true life adventures, which were basically nature documentaries that were given a little bit of a Disney spin, a little bit of the Disney story magic. And RKO did not want to distribute them. RKO was Disney's distributor at the time for films. Walt talked to his brother Roy. His brother Roy said, well, fine, we'll just create our own distribution company. And that was when Buena Vista Distribution was created. Nowadays, I think it's called Walt Disney Distribution. And that's the story, and that's the importance of these true life adventure films in Disney history. So let's go back to our list here. And I have one more I want to point out here. You're seeing a lot of things from the TV and some of the more of the true life adventures. You're starting to see a wider range of things Disney is putting out. But here at the end, we're very near the end, is Treasure Island. And Treasure Island is very important in Disney history because Treasure Island was the first completely live action film that Walt Disney ever made. So this is the film where Disney got into making full-length feature live-action films, an important part of Disney history. So going back to our list, now we're going to go up to the 1960s. So of course you have the animated films leading the row with 101 Dalmatians, The Jungle Book, and then you have Mary Poppins, which was a huge film for Disney in the 1960s. I think the film made like $101 million, which in today's dollars is like $1 billion. So imagine that. You're Walt Disney Productions, 1964, you release this film, and it brings in the equivalent of a film today bringing in $1 billion. So that is a very important film in Disney history. You're going to recognize a lot of the names here, and a lot of the bigger movies, and you're going to see some episodes from the Wonderful World of Disney in this row. But I want to point out a couple obscure movies here. Disney's Almost Angels. This was a film cut together from 2 episodes of Disney's TV show, released overseas as a feature film. Disney often did this to bring in extra money, since they didn't have the TV show over in places like Europe. But going back to our list, we have another obscure film that I have seen that I kind of liked, even though it's pretty dated. My Dog the Thief. My Dog the Thief is another one of those Disney movies that was cut together from 2 episodes of the Disney TV show. It's not bad. It's very dated. It has some logic problems, but it's a lot of fun. It's got a dog and a goofy guy, and it's sort of reminds you of Turner and Hooch in a way, even though it came out many, many years before that film. So we're just going to clear out this list here with The Prince and the Pauper. And that'll kind of do it for this video. Taking a look at the Disney 100 collection on Disney Plus from the 1920s up through the 1960s. Just highlighting a couple interesting titles in those years. Check the channel for a part 2 of this video, taking a look at the 1970s up through present day. That'll do it for this video. I'm Craig. Take care of yourself. Look out for others. Talk to you later. Bye.